All right. Hey, Jack fans. Welcome back to Pardon Me, Alex. I hope you're excited for this one because we got a absolute
stellar guest.
Stellar. I know. So we just got done recording with our special guest, and we wanted to record a kind of anniversary podcast for the anniversary of our Duke win. Let's just Duke upset.
Yeah. And if 2020 is the year that, like, if there's anything we can be thankful for, we can be thankful that 1 year ago on this day, we beat Duke.
For sure.
I mean,
100%.
We can celebrate that. I think well, actually, I know because in prep for this, I went back and listened to our podcast last year.
Right.
After the game, and we said new Thanksgiving tradition will be to watch the Duke win. So,
and that'll probably be the only basketball we watch that day since our since
we may not have a Thanksgiving Day game.
Who knows? We don't know. Supposedly, we don't know what's going on. But anywho, enough about that. We wanted to quickly kind of give you
just a little
small little intro before we get over into the actual interview. And of course, our interview guest is the one, the only, Nate Bain, Mr. Layup, last minute layup is what I called him during the podcast.
I like that
last
little
minute
moniker. You can put that on this.
I did like last minute layup, like Mr. Last minute layup. Because when we have like Mr. 4-point play with Des, we got to give Nate something, So Mr. Last minute layup.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love it too. So with Nate, he obviously is not in Nacogdoches anymore. He lives in Killeen. And so we had to do a quick little, I wouldn't say quick. It's kind of lengthy, a virtual Zoom with him. And so, there may be some moments where you can't really hear what he's saying, and that's okay.
2020 and technical difficulties and just 2020.
It's just 2020 all kind of summed up into one.
But we had him to talk about it.
We did. And so we just wanted to, again, give you guys a fun little anniversary present and from us to you. And I hope you enjoy it.
It's pretty magical.
Yeah.
And if you need a refresher to go back and listen to our podcast from last year afterwards, we give all the background you could ever want on Duke and coming into the game. But few little reminders. It was a 150 game home non-conference win streak that we snapped.
We sure did, didn't we?
It was almost 20 years they had gone that they had not lost a non-conference game at home. It's the first one since February 26th of 2000 versus St. John.
That just seems like so long ago, 2000. I mean, it's
19 years.
Yeah.
Duke was the 27.5 point favorite. We had like a less than 2% chance, I think, of winning.
Very small. Very small. Last time when I checked on, when I went back and looked at the graphic from ESPN, I mean, it was literally all Duke and then like a small little sliver of SFA. So
when I went back and watched it, they said it was the largest college basketball betting upset in the last 15 seasons. So if you bet on us for that game,
you're welcome.
You can be our sugar daddy now.
Oh,
I mean, that's how much money you probably have. But
because you made bank.
Last other note, and we discussed this with Nate during the podcast you'll get to listen to, but we scored 64, I think, points in the paint on them. The most points in the paint that Duke had given up thus far that season was 34. So we pretty much doubled that.
I mean, what a memorable experience, not only for us, the fans, but also for the players. I mean, and it's not often that you can say that, we played and went to Cameron Indoor and played, first of all. And it's not many people, very small percentage of teams can say that they made a major upset of a number one ranked team. It was just, and the way that it happened too, it was just monumental. The way that it happened, last minute, overtime, last second, missed a layup, I'm telling you. And then, of course, just from our perspective in the stands, it was just an absolute just whirlwind. I mean, for like a good 5 minutes after it happened, I was still standing there like just in shock. Like, did that literally just happen? I'm just here like, oh shit.
We posted a video. You can go watch.
We did. I posted it today.
Doing just that.
YouTube is mean, and like half of it may be muted out because there's like songs in the background that the band's playing or like that the PA is playing.
Oh, but I got the email that said that song's only blocked in the country Andorra or something.
Oh, okay, good.
I don't even know where that is.
I don't know. Okay, because it said that it was partially blocked in some countries, and I'm like, crap.
In the email, it listed the only block country listed was Andorra, and I don't even know where that is. So you should all be able to hear all of it.
Good. And again,
not that there was any audio from us to hear because we were speechless.
Well, and there were points where I'm literally just saying like, oh shit. So I apologize for any.
Sorry, not sorry.
I mean, yeah, profane language.
Really?
Small earmuffs it, but like, I mean, can you blame us? We were taken by kind of surprised there at the end, just like we have a chance. Oh shit! Oh god!
It was a wild.
It was just wild,
day.
And so we hope that you enjoy Nate's kind of take on the entire game and from his perspective, and just everything revolving the pregame before they even went to Cameron Indoor. We talk about finding out that they scheduled Duke, what that was like. We talk about pregame, how he felt during pregame. Did he do anything different? We talked about the actual game.
The aftermath of the game.
Mm-hmm. Updates on the hurricane relief and all the rebuilding of his family's church and home and school in the Bahamas. So we really just kind of went over everything and give you just, again, a little bit more of inside scoop on Nate and the Duke game from who else but the guy who got the dub for us. Real quickly, before everybody runs away, I do have something fun to show.
Oh, yeah.
So I got this made. I just need to find a spot for it.
So the frame is pieces of the old William R. Johnson court. And framed is one of the, now my dog's growling, one of the newspaper articles about us winning.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Anyway, I had it made. And they're also going to be available in, they were available in the alumni auction. So if you missed out on that, again, sorry about you.
So we really hope you'll enjoy this special episode.
Yes.
And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Can't wait to talk about Lumberjack basketball the next few weeks. And then, of course, the first home game. So hopefully you stick around. And again, always remember, Axe and Jacks.
With Alex and Jax.
Enjoy.
Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome, Jax fans.
Hello, everyone. As you can see, we have Mr. Nate Bain himself, Mr. Duke Win, Mr. Last Minute Layup on our podcast. We wanted to do a fun little anniversary podcast.
Much anticipated special guest. So since we're the day y'all will be listening to this is the 1-year anniversary of the Duke Win. So who else to have but Nate?
What better guest?
So to prep for this, I watched the game again for like the 5th time. So have you watched the game since you played it?
Yeah, I watched it one time, but not for, just to watch the layup, but just to see what we did during the game and just try and get better. Just to see the mistakes we made, and let's see what we could have did, moving into the year. And then we made a lot of mistakes. We did make a lot of mistakes that game. We got lucky a few times coming down late, like really lucky. But
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a game. Being there in person, it was just an absolute anxiety-driven game on our end. I can't even imagine what it was on y'all's end. But yeah, go ahead, Jack.
So when you very first found out you were playing Duke, what was your initial gut reaction?
It was just like another big game. We played big games in the past, like West Virginia, Baylor, Alabama. Camps like that, who are like kind of, in those Power 5 conferences. But I mean, Duke is, on top of the basketball world, like consistently every year. So it was another big game, but it was a game that could really like catapult SFA's name, out there.
Right.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So like you said, y'all played some other really big schools too, but tell us kind of what the scouting report, what your kind of game prep was for that game, if there was anything different that y'all did or kind of special mindset going in.
Credit to Coach Keller. He prepared us really well. We did, our regular practice routines and stuff, scouting, watching film on, our individual positions and, them and their sets. But in the hotel, like the night before the game, he showed us a stat sheet, and it had two different sets of stats, and they weren't that much of a difference in between them. They were like tiny percentages of differences. It was like one of these stat sheets is Duke and one is you. You can see they're basically identical, so like they can be beat, not unbeatable.
Right.
And our mindset, just going like they basically play just like us, but it's up to us if we want them more. We want to beat them more. Like we didn't even watch film the next day. Like he ran in. He usually watch film before a game. He came in there. He was like, "I'm tired of talking about these dudes. Let's go win the game." And we just walked out the
hotel. Typical Keller. That sounds like him for sure. Yeah. So kind of just like maybe take us through that morning, like the game day morning, waking up. No, that's after. Okay. Yeah. Like waking up, did you have a feeling that something special or magical was going to happen? Or was it more like, hey, I'm just ecstatic to play in Cameron Indoor. This is a cool once in a lifetime opportunity. Or did you kind of have in your bones like, something cool is going to happen, or normal game day?
It was normal game day. We went to Cameron when we got there. I think like a night or two before. I honestly don't remember when we got there. But when we got there, we ran right away to the gym, so everybody could get out of their system, like, it's Cameron Indoor Stadium. And the gym itself is historic, but it's not as big as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, like, I thought it was
kind of like a pretty solid size college gym. It's just like so many jerseys in the Raptors. It's like they get guys to the NBA. So I guess like people kind of got out of their system. I honestly don't think I took a picture inside there because I didn't want to. But
there's plenty of pictures of you other people took. Don't worry.
Yeah, so, I didn't take a picture. I think a few guys didn't take pictures because it was like, it felt weird taking a picture of your opponent's stadium.
True.
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point. I never would have thought of it like that, but
it was more so for the people who came on the trip. Like, some of the coaches, because Coaching Connect is the coaching web is pretty extensive, and and the managers liked it. But that morning, waking up, did our same routine. Get up, go to breakfast, go back to the room for a little bit, then shoot around, come back to the gym. Go back to the hotel, eat a snack, take a nap.
Normal game day.
What was y'all's pregame meal?
I was gonna say, what was your snack? What was your pregame?
What was our pregame meal? I have no idea.
I thought y'all would have repeated it for every game.
Right. After that, it's the same pregame meal. It just give the same juju.
We switched it up quite a bit. We switched it up a lot, honestly.
Probably depends on where you're at.
Huh?
It probably depends on where you're at, or maybe what options are available.
Yeah, mainly we would have like grilled chicken or steak.
Some protein.
Yeah, some protein and pasta.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't remember.
So let's just give a little comparison. So walking through the doors, maybe during shoot around or pregame, when there's nobody in there, just y'all. And then the difference between that and walking in through the tunnel, running in when all the crazies and all the fans were there. What's the difference there? What was your first impression? Did it live up to the hype, the Cameron crazies?
Yeah, it did. That definitely. I wouldn't say it caught me off guard, but it's man, this place really does get crazy inside there.
Yeah.
When we came out, it wasn't, people were still trickling into the gym and what's not. Mm-hmm. And then getting closer to game time, we came in, we went to the locker room and came back out, and I was like, was this much people inside here before? It was every seat got taken up in the span of 5 minutes. And I was like, all right, so this is going to be a game. And you couldn't hear anything on the court. Someone standing right next to you, it's you have to yell at them right next to you. It was loud. That's probably the loudest.
That's a good point. Communication obviously is so key during the game between y'all players on the court. If it's so loud in there, that's why that Cameron Indoor has such a reputation of messing up teams, because it is just deafening in there. So that makes sense.
And credit to the coaching staff again. We would play we had we have a big speaker in the gym. We put just like really loud, obnoxious music the whole time. Like for like some practice. After that, that's probably the only thing we did change was playing music really loud. And I guess it worked, kind of.
It did work.
Yeah, it hits us most of the time.
Yeah, that's
for 20 years at least.
For sure.
Unbroken.
I know. It totally.
So what did y'all think about, or did y'all even notice that Coach K, one of his assistants, were both wearing a purple tie? Did y'all notice that?
I didn't notice that.
Mm-hmm.
So we noticed it, and then of course the commentators were like, I wonder if they knew that they were purple.
I know.
I just thought it was funny.
It is really funny.
I don't know. So speaking of Coach
K, so obviously Coach K is just, world-renowned coach. Everybody knows Coach K. Did you ever have the opportunity to meet him or shake his hand, maybe pre-game? I'm sure you did, probably post-game. What was that like?
Yeah, not pre-game. Honestly, didn't really see him until like the tip-off.
Okay.
Like, just looking around a little bit, I just always look around the gym when I'm getting ready during tip-off.
Yeah. Just kind of taking it all in.
Just feel the atmosphere and what's not. But a second time after the game, I think he was kind of in shock because he kind of just had like the little.
Yeah,
he was definitely.
I'm sure he was. So I bet he didn't have much to say.
No, I mean the other coaches were talking, in the line of the game, he was just like he was out of there, like someone hit him over the head with a bat or something.
Pretty much.
I mean, he was literally knocked off his feet. Because it was just a crazy upset. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. The game.
We kind of talked about how even though it wasn't as packed as a normal Duke game, like it was still pretty crazy. So yeah. I mean, most of the game you felt like it was hard to communicate. It was like really loud. Do you feel like that was the toughest atmosphere that you played in so far?
Yeah, that was definitely the toughest atmosphere to play in. Because we have like really good crowds at SFA, especially we played Alabama and the gym was really packed. But it's different when the energy is like for you, and then it's totally different when the energy is like against you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out.
That is a very good thing. And that is so true. It's like when people are cheering for you and like they have that energy behind you, it's giving you guys motivation. And then when you have people literally yelling against you, like especially at Cameron, because they're literally right there, kind of almost like at William R. If they're against you, man, it is hard to pay attention and hard to hear. Totally.
Did you feel like it was the toughest game you've ever played as far as like
in your career?
The opponent wise?
Yeah.
As far as the opponent, I think them being a really good team on top of where we played them made them like really, really hard to play against. Because I feel like we played against like I've had the opportunity to play against like better teams, like it's more like seniors and people like more seasoned or what's not. But as far as like the atmosphere on top of how good the team was, even though they were young, I kind of made them like really, really hard to play against.
Mm-hmm.
But they were super young, talented team. Like it's funny because I even like saw Cassie Stanley in high school when I was like already in college. And it was weird because it was like a 10th grader when I was like a freshman or something. So
where did he play in high school?
I think he went to school in North Carolina.
Okay.
Or I think he was in North Carolina and then he went to California and he came back. I know he was on the East Coast, or East Coast or West Coast. So he wasn't as athletic as I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
He was good.
I mean,
that was a freak.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Okay, so a little bit more kind of like game from the perspective of you as like walk us through the game. You don't necessarily have to walk us through like the whole game, but like as from the player's perspective, because of course we're up in the stands cheering, which we were. We know how it kind of looked from our perspective. Maybe tell us a little bit from your perspective being on the court, how the game kind of went down. Do you think that it didn't really go as probably I mean, nobody plans for to go to overtime versus Duke in Duke and then beat them in overtime. But I guess just give us a little perspective on the court, during the game.
I mean, I feel like we followed the game plan pretty well. Trying to contain the big dude, Vernon Carey, as possible. As I don't know, just try to not foul out Gardner dude. Pretty much that was the game plan. Don't foul out Goodness dude. So
don't foul out Nate.
Yeah, he was big. He was a major key just because he was bigger than everybody on our entire roster.
Right.
So trying to contain him and not fouling them and taking bad shots because they run a lot too. They get up and down the floor. That was a big thing. Taking shots that we knew wouldn't give them an advantage. Because our team was in great shape, but you don't want to get into a runoff all the time.
Yeah.
And the only another thing we tried to do was heat up their point guard, Jones.
Mm-hmm.
John did a really good job of that. That's because they only had one point guard, and we had a few people we could put at the point.
Yeah.
And I think we actually did really good because he was really tired at the end of the game. I wouldn't say he said he was really tired at the end of the game. I don't believe it. That dude did not show any sign of exhaustion one time the whole game.
Yeah.
He played the whole game, including overtime. Just trying to make other players score besides Jones and Vernon Carey. That was they the heart of their team. And I think we did that pretty well. I would say we didn't foul, but they shot 40 free throws. So
yeah, no. So I guess I'd forgotten how bad the foul trouble was until I watched it back.
Yeah,
today.
I totally forgot as well.
But I think we had 4 guys with 4 fouls and multiple guys with 3 fouls. So during the game, was that making you anxious how much foul trouble we had? Because Gavin had 4, Kevon had 4. I think you had 3 or 4.
Almost all the starters had major foul trouble.
It was very. It got to where Keller couldn't take any of y'all out because we didn't have anybody else.
Yeah. I think Charlie had fouled out, I'm pretty sure. And I had 4, G had 4, I think Rocky had 3, John had 4, and John had 4. But John had cramped up. He was playing so long.
Poor John, cramping up.
Yeah, so it was and I think I remember Coach Wayne saying something, and Coach and Chris is there's 3 of them got 4 fouls. He's like, well, can't take him out, so hopefully they don't foul out. And I was like, and I do remember him saying that, and I was like, man, I really don't want to foul. And I actually remember seeing a play. I remember I had inflicted my 4th foul. Wasn't a foul, but anyways. And
no, never.
One of the dudes he kind of drove by me, and I kind of buzzed him a little bit, and I did not want to foul out, so I kind of did a little, just a little Olay defense.
Right.
And I was like, sorry. We just have to get this bucket back. I'm sorry. I don't want to foul out.
Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So when y'all went into halftime, at that point, did you think we might have a shot at winning this, or did you think they were about to just pull away? Because
no.
Duke's kind of like that, like a cat playing with its little mouse, and it's just gonna let it think it's gonna live, and then they're gonna
come back and destroy you at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew we were gonna have a great chance because we called a timeout, and Coach Keller he's really good at letting players he deemed as leaders on the team be vocal. And I told him, I was like, yo, if we can go into halftime down 5, we can win this game because we'd gone down 15. And I was like, no, that's fine. Kevon was really good with it. Him and John is we were down 15. It's don't worry about it. They had their run. They're gonna get relaxed. Now it's our turn to get a run. And I was looking at the clock, and I was like, let's get into halftime. Down 5, and Coach Keller reiterated it too. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Coach Keller reiterated it too. It was down 5.
So how was it in the locker room at halftime? What was kind of the halftime speech?
Yeah, what did Keller say to kind of, did he say anything that was kind of like a motivator, or what was it like?
He motivated us pretty well. He was telling us, just to, stay calm, just keep playing, stick to the game plan, don't get into a track meet with them. Take good shots, put ourselves in the position to win the game,
Yeah.
He was telling us that like they gonna make runs, they gonna make shots there at home. They gonna feel good stuff. But he's like, just keep taking it to them. They gonna break at some point. And that was the main thing.
And y'all did, and I will say, so my dad and I were kind of texting the whole time through the game, and the commentators said this too whenever I went back and watched it. But it was like the farther into the game that it got, and we were hanging with them and making them work for it. It's like the farther along we got, the better it was for us, because then the more they had to lose, and the more kind of unsettled they got. So I think y'all did a good job of that, because especially like coming back out, and I'd forgotten how terribly we started the second half. Because immediately had a turnover in John's third foul, and it's like that could have just taken the wind out of our sails and rolled over and given up. But I mean, y'all just we're not ready to give up yet.
No, you were relentless, and I feel like that's kind of almost one of the main themes of that game was just you were just relentless. Every time that they would make a 3-pointer, 2-pointer, y'all would come back and score and keep it close the whole time. It wasn't at no point during the game. I think we looked at each other multiple times during the game like, it's possible, like we could do this, like it happened, like we're not so far behind that it's just like nah, there's no way. We were sticking, we were with them, we were keeping up with the big dogs. And so I feel like towards the end of the game, end of regulation, heading into, almost overtime, once the end of regulation happened and it was tied, how did y'all feel going into overtime? I mean, was it like, okay, guys, like we got this, this can happen?
Yeah, it was, a feeling of, all right, we pushing them harder than they've been pushed this year, probably. Yeah. And we're not sure they ready. Like the coaching staff believed that they weren't ready for that type of pressure in overtime because they were young. Yes. We had 3, and we had Gavin, who had played in the NCAA before, so he had experience too. Playing at a high level late game, and how to handle that. Credit to the dudes, they did handle it pretty well, but they did start taking they took some tough shots. They probably could have waited for a quick shot, and that's just experience with the game, And I think with our players, we really tried to hammer let's not get into a shootout with them because they like long shots, they like long rebounds. Let's get to the top. Let's force the referees to blow the whistle if they decided to.
Agreed. That's another great thing that y'all did, because my dad and I talked about this too. It's like I think a lot of teams like us, when they play huge teams like Duke, they think that they have to really do well in their 3-point game to be able to make up for the deficit and compensate. And we didn't have anyone who's just like a straight 3-point shooter. We have a few guys who can shoot the 3, but none of y'all that's really like your strong point. And so I think the fact that we just focused on defense and trying to take it in. I mean, turnovers. We scored like 64 points in the paint. Most people only score like 30 points in the paint against Duke.
Yeah.
So we stuck to our game and did what we do best and didn't try to just take a bunch of
try to go toe for toe with them on the 3 ball. I mean, again, like you said, that's we wouldn't have won that game at all if we would have tried to, match them ball for ball, trying to hit threes. I mean, we played to our strengths, which was, in the paint, forcing turnovers. I mean, creating disruption. And so that's what, we needed to do to win, and boom, we got it. So yeah, going into overtime, having that, what was that, that whistle, as soon as regulation was over, y'all, huddle up there trying to get ready for overtime. Do you remember what was maybe talked about or said, or, something maybe?
It was a sigh of relief.
Well, from us too.
Gavin tried to save the ball, and then I tried to save it too, because we had messed up our out of bounds defense really bad. It was awful. I was like, this is going to be all over film. I hope we win this game so we can just laugh about this out of bounds defense, because they threw a lob. We got it terrible, and Cassius Stanley ended up on ESPN top 10 because he almost broke the rim.
No, it was so bad.
It was great. I was like, God. So I was like, I didn't want to guard out of bounds defense. I honestly was like, I don't think we're ready for it right now. I don't think we're focused enough out of bounds defense. And I swung it. I tried to swing it down court, but I didn't get a good grip, and it literally landed right in his hands. I was like, oh my God. And then, Roti saved the game. Rati honestly saved the game at the end of regulation, and he saved the game in overtime. Because he went and contested Stanley perfectly. It was amazing. I like it, rewinded it like 10 times. I'm like, Rati, God, there's a game.
I agree with that. I mean, obviously, yeah, you hit that layup at the buzzer, but I mean, to be fair, if Rati didn't steal that ball and create that, then you would have had that opportunity to do that. But like, so let's talk about that for a second. The layup. I was like, we have to know what was going through your head, like what was running through your head when you were literally sprinting down the court at as fast as your little legs can take you, with time ticking down, you know, with that layup and it going in at the buzzer. I mean, we almost passed out in the stands. Almost. I mean, what was going through your head in those moments?
I mean, because I didn't see Rati steal it until I didn't see him knock it down until I rewatched the film, because it was kind of on that side, and I saw when Gavin Joe won it, so I was like, oh, we got the ball. I thought he was going to take a timeout, and I looked at him. I didn't even call for the ball. He just threw it to me, and I was like, oh crap! So I didn't call for the ball.
This was not my ball.
Call for the ball. I was just standing there, and I was like, well, we got to go to double OT. And I was like, I might pass out if we go double OT. And he threw it, and I was like, well, crap, let's do it. So I took off, and I took a little gaze up at the clock. I was like, all right, I got 3 seconds. I could definitely make it. And then I looked behind me. I looked the wrong way because I could hear this dude breathing in my ear, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get blocked.
You're going to get blocked, yeah.
I'm like sprinting. I look over my shoulder. I look up again. I was like, I time to lay it up. And for a split second, I was like, go make it dunk. I was like, hell no, I have no legs. No way. So I was like, I'm going to just stretch. And I was like, maybe I got it off. And it happened really fast when you watch it on film. But in that moment, I didn't see the ball go in the hoop. I looked up, but I was kind of behind the backboard, so I couldn't tell if it went through. And I looked over, and David was like already running off the bench. And I was like, oh, crap, we did it.
Yeah, you did it all right.
Was there ever any point where you thought, I won't have time, I'm going to have to pull up and shoot? Or did you pretty much know you had time to make the layup?
I didn't feel like 100% had time. I was like, I feel like I can get it off to where they, maybe go look at it.
Yeah.
But
true.
Never once in my mind that I thought of pulling up, because
that's good, because
you were confident.
First of all, since we were tied up, there really wasn't any, it wasn't do or die. We could have gone
done a 2 OT and yeah.
But my dad and I talked about it, and the commentator said the same thing, because a lot of times in that situation, the mistake that's made is you kind of panic and think, oh, I don't have time to make the full length of the court, so let me pull up and shoot. And it's just a much harder shot to make. I'm sure you know. So way better that you went for the layup.
Yeah, and I feel like the layup was just so much more dramatic too. I mean, if you would have pulled up and made it, okay, great. I mean, yes, off the buzzer, fantastic, but that layup just at the last, reaching over into the basket was just, I mean, it was absolute money. And then just the aftermath, the complete and utter chaos of people in the stands screaming, yelling. I mean, Johnny on the freaking floor cramping up. I thought Johnny had just fell on the ground in excitement.
We were like, is he dead?
I thought he just fell over because of excitement, but no, poor guy was cramping up on the court, couldn't even move his body. I mean, just absolute chaos. I mean, you get interviewed, you get the media coverage, and then all the GoFundMe stuff. I mean, just insanity. So kind of just tell us about directly after the game, getting interviewed and all that fun stuff.
So I mean, after the game, we shook hands with Nate. Everyone was still super excited. And I wanted to go into the locker room. I wanted to run inside the locker room, but they're like, nah, they're about to interview you. I'm like, dang. So I was like, all right, whatever, So they interviewed me, and I just got to thinking about, the hurricane and stuff that had happened. And I was like, it was a major win for SFA, but it felt really big, just for me personally, because I wanted to go home early in the year because, for obvious reasons. And I wanted to leave in September and then probably come back on right before the season started, or I don't know when I would have came back. But my dad had called Coach Keller when I had spoke to Coach Keller. And I left class early one day. I went to go talk to him, because I wasn't feeling too good, about the whole situation. And he's like, my dad had already called him, you know, because he knew I wanted to come home. He's like, well, my dad told me not to let you go home, otherwise I would have bought you a ticket today. And my dad called me. He's like, you know, like you have a mission to do. Like it's your last year as a student athlete. He's like, you know, you have things you need to get done this year. He's like, we're gonna be okay. So I was like, all right. So that was kind of a motivator for me. And the team was really good too, but they were trying to keep my spirits up and what's not.
Right.
And every year, you know, teams have stuff that go on. We had a bunch of stuff going on internally with players personally. And I think our team does a really good job of, you know, keeping us together, especially that year with, you know, all the stuff we had to do, all the things we went through personally as a team. And that was big. That's just stuff that played on my mind during the interview. And Coach Kel was like, mention the GoFundMe. And then he was like, walked up and I was like, all right, this is the last ditch effort for the GoFundMe, and it took off. It worked. So, you know, that's Coach Kel.
It did.
Yeah.
When you say it took off, it did. We're keeping track of it, like on our end, just looking, just like every single hour of every day, it just continued to grow and grow, and people writing comments, and people that weren't even SFA fans, but they were watching the game and they were just so moved by just the fact that A, we beat Duke, and then B, you know, your story, you know, like crazy. Just, I mean, yeah.
So all those emotions of, you know, everything that you were talking about in the post-game interview right after, was that kind of the moment where you were like, yeah, I made the right decision staying and not going back home?
Yeah, because, you know, who knows what would have happened during that game. You know, maybe somebody else would have, you know, had the opportunity, but
Yeah.
I mean, just something you would never know what would have happened. And I was just really glad that I stayed and made a decision not to go home. Because it changed. It definitely helped my people back home that I stayed here back home.
It helped a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So all the interviews that you did after the game, like what, maybe tell us like who was the person you got interviewed by that you felt like the most like in awe of, you know, or like the most just unexpected thing that came for you personally from all the interviews and attention?
I honestly don't know. I got interviewed from so many different people. Like from after the game, I interviewed from, you know, the people at Duke, and then on the bus, we were waiting for a call from like ESPN, and I forgot the name of the dude. He's on ESPN like early in the morning. He does like the top 10 countdown, like plays of the week and whatnot. I forgot his name. Him, Coach Wade knows him, but I think that was probably one of the more fun interviews, because, you know, I always hear him all the time, you know, counting down the top 10, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun after.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really sleep for like 2 days.
Yeah. Well, and then you and Wade went to that, was it the CNN Heroes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really cool too.
Crazy.
That was a cool experience, I bet. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, they got us a private jet. We flew to New York. And that was a fun experience.
I'm sure that was cool.
Got to meet like a whole lot of like, you know, Hollywood megastars, like Taylor McLaughlin. He plays on what's the Netflix show called? Supernatural.
Oh, like Jensen Ackles or Jared Padalecki? Those are the people on Supernatural. Okay.
I don't know, but I know you met that one woman who, I don't know what else she's on, but she was on Desperate Housewives a long time ago.
Yeah.
Alfre
Woodard. Alfre Woodard.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was really nice. She's like she's a grandma in real life. Like, she actually has like grandkids, but you can tell she's like an actual like stereotypical grandma. Like, we was inside like the room waiting to go on stage, and she was just talking to me, and like she left away, and I would like stick my phone out and text my mom like, "Yo, I'm talking to Alfre Woodard right now. Like, this is great." And then she was like, "That game was so fun to watch." And I was like, "Oh, she watched the game. Like, this is even more."
Right.
She's like, "You want a piece of candy?" And I was like, "Yeah."
You want some Werther's in my purse or something? Like, typical great.
some candy. I'm like, she's a really nice lady. Really nice.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. So you did mention the bus ride. I think it was kind of cool on our end too, because y'all were coming out and we were waiting on it after the game, and we were out there, in the kind of like in the lobby area cheering and going crazy and waiting for everybody to come out. And then you finally did, and then of course you guys got on the bus. So what was that bus ride to the airport? Because you all left like immediately after that to go to the airport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We after we got the interview started and it got done, and we got driving to the airport. The bus ride was crazy. Everyone was just like making Snapchats, just messaging people back. Everybody's phone was blowing up. It took me a while for my phone to work because then it crashed because so many people was like, my phone, I couldn't even touch. I just had to like leave it.
Oh my God. I'm sure. Yeah. Your phone was probably blowing up. It was pretty late. I know, obviously, you guys getting to the airport, but did anybody recognize you guys? Was anybody at the airport to be like, oh, y'all just beat Duke kind of a thing? Because I know that when we went in the next morning to the airport, we had our SFA stuff on, and like multiple people were like, yeah, go SFA, beat Duke. Like we were getting cheered in the lines. So.
Yeah, there are people there who were just like, yeah, that was a big game last night. People were just like, just going crazy. Like, man, that was a crazy game. Like, there's so much odds stacked against you. People were like, you won me a lot of money, stuff like that.
Won me a lot of money. They said that too. I remember there was one person that said, yeah, I bet on that game. I won a lot of money. I'm like, oh my God. I'm glad you did. That's great.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So funny. It was just wild. I mean, even coming to the game, coming to Durham, we were recognized on the plane like, oh yeah, you guys are playing Duke this weekend. Or we saw people that were actually going to the game with us that from SFA. And so it was just really cool experience for a lot of people. And then they, recognized our little emblem and said, oh yeah, y'all beat Duke. It was just really cool experience.
So do you have any plans of visiting your jersey and your shoes at the Basketball Hall of Fame?
I do at some point. Maybe next spring, probably during spring break, I'm gonna try to go down. I would go in the summer, but wedding stuff. So I'm gonna try to go in the spring because she wanted to go with me.
Yeah, of course.
So we'll try and see if we can get a few people down. We can all just go look at history.
Absolutely.
How shocked were you? How did they go about like contacting you to ask you for that? Like, how does that work?
Coach Keller, got in contact with. I think they got in contact with the basketball people at the basketball office. And then Coach Keller called me and he told me, and I was like, "You serious right now?" I was like, "What Hall of Fame are you talking about? There's only one college basketball Hall of Fame." Bro. I was like, "Wow!" I didn't really know what to say because I was like, "Dang, that's like." So that was like a dream, think about having a jersey, inside a Hall of Fame somewhere, and it's just like when it actually happens, you don't really know how to react.
Yeah,
I would be
super grateful, but I was actually shocked more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a very humbling moment. You're like, me, kind of a thing. So that's just fantastic. Yeah. What a cool moment. Yeah. So I know you just mentioned, obviously, next year getting married, and we're so happy for you guys getting married. And of course, obviously, we saw you propose the very end of the season. So yeah, just give us a current life update on that. You said you were getting married, you said in the summer, correct?
Yeah, July 24th. It's going to be somewhere in Colleen or one of the surrounding cities, just waiting on some details, to be worked out. But
right, yeah.
Stuff sorted out. Just waiting on the venue and then really.
That's awesome.
Get the stressful part out of the way.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we're so excited for you with your future. And of course, you mentioned before we started recording that you're working in Killeen and that you're working with working with people on the base, right, over there at the military base.
Yep. Yeah, so it was recovery facility, cryotherapy facility. We do a couple other stuff on the base. Inside the facility. Mm-hmm. So we had like military vets. We got like current, really enlisted in the military, and yeah, like student athletes. Anybody we could come in and use that facility, and then PSC kind of expand the knowledge on
Yeah, that's
supplements,
awesome.
things like that. So it's pretty good down here in Killeen right now. I'm really excited.
Awesome.
See what else.
Yeah, so you're happy where you're at, and you're excited for your future. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Super exciting. So
Yeah.
just kind of last little wrap up. So kind of tell us like how are your parents doing now? Have you been back to see them since the season was over, and kind of how's the rebuild going?
So they pretty much got everything rebuilt that they needed to, just because they got school started. So kids are in school back home. And I haven't had a chance to go see them. That's because, COVID and travel restrictions. It's real tricky getting in and out of the Bahamas right now. So my parents told me, not to come home just yet. Just wait till they get a solid okay to be back and forth.
Right.
But I talk to them a lot. I talk to them like every day.
Oh, good.
So I've been in contact with them. They're happy with how, I guess, my life is turning out.
Good. Gotta keep mom and dad happy.
Absolutely. And that's fantastic that, pretty much everything's been rebuilt that was destroyed, right?
Yeah, I got the church renovated, the house renovated,
Good.
damages patched up. It's helping a lot of kids being able to go back to school.
And that's important. Good. Well, that's cool. That's fantastic. Nate, I'm telling you, man. Our experience in the stands, I'm sure, was only half as exciting as what it was on the court after you guys won. And again, we were too far up to rush the court, but dang it, we wanted to. And it was just hard because on the seats there, they're bleachers, but there's like pads, there's like seating pads on the seats. So it was hard for us to because everybody's standing, we're short, we're trying to see over people. I'm literally standing behind a tall person, like with this much like viewing room, just like watching the whole time. And we're standing the whole time, and we wanted to jump down, but there were people in front of us. We'd have knocked them over. But it was a crazy, crazy experience on our end. And I'm sure it was, again, just as crazy for you. But we're so thankful that you wanted to come and talk to us today.
I know. We're so excited to get to see you again.
Yeah. We miss you on the court.
Even though
season hasn't started yet, but we're going to miss you on the court.
We're going to miss you. We've talked about you before we talked about you a lot on our like preseason podcast we just did. But your presence is going to be missed because, man, you were quite the larger than life like personality that we got to luckily be on the front row and interact with constantly.
Yeah.
During the game.
Much fun.
So whether you were in the game
or not,
on the court or not, you were always in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally.
Keeping everybody hyped up. So you were a joy to watch even when you weren't playing. So we miss you, man. Glad you're doing well.
I miss you guys too. You guys are fun to interact with.
Well, we try. We try, but you make it easy. So.
Yeah, it was definitely make it easy for sure. Thanks, Nate. Again, thanks again for taking time out of your day to talk to us. And I'm sure we're going to get you back on the podcast again to talk about a couple of the games this season. We'll just have to schedule it and figure out what's convenient for you. But yeah, we appreciate it so much. And we're glad that you're doing good, man.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys wanted me on here. All right. Got the setup.
Our pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Nate.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right. Bye.